track at the World. We are tied.
Look at this. He's right there. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Dropping a big leg. Over for the cover. He done it. Unbelievable.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Austin, he got it. The starter. Mike Tyson in. Austin is the champion. Stone Cold. Stone Cold. Stone Cold. Now the 2-2. Well hit down the left field line. Way back in.
Touch a ball, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Oh my God, no! Mankind did it! Nick Foley did it! No! Stone Cold did it! Mankind has achieved his dream and the dream of everyone else who's been told you can't do it! No! You can't do it! You can't do it! No matter what, got money on my mind, I can never get it up. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
That's our Connection Podcast Network. Welcome to WWE WAR. Wrestling Above Replacement. I'm JT, joined by my buddy Marcus and our wonderful producer, not the tool man, Tim Taylor. And this podcast, which you're going to learn all about here, is simulcast on audio and all podcast applications beside them bitches at Spotify, searching North-South Connection, and on video here on YouTube under North-South Connection. Be sure to check this one out on YouTube, I will say, because we have some awesome graphics from our producer. And there's a lot of math, a lot of different categories, a lot of different things you want to keep track of. And it's pretty easy with the great graphics that Tim puts together for us. So I'd recommend you watch this one. Leave us some comments, leave us some thoughts about what you think. But we'll get into. Marcus, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, and unbeknownst to me, we both went double Randy.
Yeah, look at that.
Do I make you Randy, baby?
Randy's, you know?
The answer is yes. How you doing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. On this show, we are going through every WWE pay-per-view of all time in a seasonal format. That means we start with the pay-per-view following WrestleMania in any given year. We end with WrestleMania the following calendar year. So for this season, we started with Extreme Rules 2013, I believe. I know it's been a while. And we wrap up with WrestleMania 30, and then we'll go on to a new season. As we go along, we're going to be ranking every pay-per-view we touch on in all kinds of different categories. We're going to grade all the matches, talk about different aspects of the show, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then we're going to net out our score, and then we'll take that total composite score for the show and stack rank it against all the other shows and build our final list. We're about 134 in, I think, at this point, with many, many more to go as we move through yet another season. So with that all said, I want to throw it over to producer Tim, who's going to go through the rules so you can catch up if you're new to the show. And if not, just enjoy the music that goes along with it.
Welcome to WWE WAR. I'm producer Tim. JT and Marcus have taken on the noble task of finding the true answer to the age-old question wrestling fans have debated for years. What is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time? To find the answer, WAR looks to explore each and every pay-per-view using a plus-minus scale at a baseline average, where things above average gain a point and things below average lose a point. WWE WAR grades on several categories, including match quality, build, commentary, atmosphere, notable moments, card structure, and rewatchability. The magic number to remember for WWE WAR is 2.5. That is the baseline number for an average replacement level match. Any grade higher or lower than 2.5 raises or lowers the average WAR score. For example, if JT and Marcus give a match a 3-star rating, then that match is 0.5 points above replacement. Add all of the totals up and you get your nice round number to give you your match quality grade. There's also a bonus. If there is a match that both JT and Marcus rate 4.25 or higher, or 0.75 or lower, that match gains or loses a point for either an all-time great match or an all-time bad match. By the time we're done, we will have composed the most comprehensive list ever for WWE pay-per-views to give you the answer of what is the greatest WWE pay-per-view of all time. Take it away, boys.
I kind of want to see Bob Backlund do the Fandango so he can go right into like this young man right into the fingers over the top.
I have never eaten marijuana.
Fucking Jim. All right, let's dive into the show. It is Night of Champions 2013, September 15th, 2013, from the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan, 10,500 in attendance. And it is the first pay-per-view since Over the Limit in 2010 at the Joe. That was headlined by John Cena versus Batista in an I Quit match. Of course, that was a pretty memorable show because I believe that's Batista's final match until one we'll be talking about very soon here in the season. So fitting there. We have our usual commentary team in place. Michael Cole, Jerry Lawler, and John Bradshaw Layfield. On our pre-show, we have the primetime players winning a tag team turmoil to determine the number one contenders to the tag titles, which will happen later in the show. They last eliminated the Real Americans. Also in the match were a 3-man band, tons of funk, and the Usos. The primetime players came away with the win. Our opening match continues the odd focus of Curtis Axel in this season. He is our Intercontinental Champion still. He takes on Kofi Kingston, and he wins this match by pinfall to retain the title, 13:56. And I'll be honest, Marcus, it's the early 2000s. I assumed Kofi was going to win his 75th IC title here and then go on to lose it to Dolph Ziggler or The Miz, because that's all that happens, it feels like, between 2010 and 2016-ish. But no, Curtis Axel continues this unlikely reign as IC champion. And I mean, look, he is what he is, but they got Heyman with him, and they're booking the IC belt probably stronger than it's been in a while with him. He's on a bunch of pay-per-views. He's winning matches. So kudos to that, I guess. I went 3 stars. This is fine. It's kind of the usual Kofi versus guy he's going to carry along a bit match.
Yeah, I went 3 as well. Kind of just a testament to Kofi and kind of his baseline for a match. Axel's fine. But yeah, this is more to me a testament to Kofi Kingston and how, what that floor is for babyface Kofi Kingston. And he's kind of, I guess, here like as Roman Reigns is to Royal Rumbles and being the bridesmaid, the red herring, if you will. Kofi Kingston is here in the mid 2010s with an Intercontinental title match. I also thought, like, wait, does Kofi win a title here? Does that happen? It was not to be. But we will talk about what took so long to get to this match. I think it might have harmed the reaction to this match, maybe even my rating a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
But next up, we continue with another championship match as AJ Lee successfully defends against Naomi, Brie Bella, and Natalya. I'm with a 2.25. Again, another weird blend of Total Diva stuff, and then you get the regular women's roster stuff with AJ. Do a little bit of a build on TV. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, this was okay. Just kind of fine.
Yeah, 2 stars to me. I think the highlight is Brie's Wonder Woman outfit there. Beyond that, it's just AJ kind of doing AJ things during this run on the doorstep of the women's division, leveling up over the next year. She's doing her best to kind of carry these ladies through things at this point. As usual, we have the touch of Total Divas on this. We got AJ calling all the women out in the locker room, right? That she's the real wrestler. And that the rest of them are, just whatever, Playboy bunnies, right? So like that's her whole approach, and that's the angle they go with here for a bit. So All right, let's get to our next match, and that is Rob Van Dam challenging Alberto Del Rio for the world title. And Marcus, I'll tell you, I'm definitely, obviously Rob Van Dam Mark. Love him in ECW, love him in WWE. I was so excited to see him back at this time. This is a cool little feud. It's a good way to get Alberto, another quality challenger. RVD actually wins this match by DQ, and that sets up a rematch for the next month. I thought they do a real good job here. The whole Ricardo thing, like being with RVD, is kind of odd, but I don't know. RVD's kind of like Pineapple Express is kind of befriends whoever is the happy stoner. So Ricardo tags along with him. He's got his busted up arm, but RVD balls out as always. Like, this is a really fun match. The crowd is into it. Like, so lock it in 3.5.
Yeah. In this return, even a little bit older, RVD can still bring the goods. So 3.5 for me. And Del Rio is, I wouldn't say sneaky good, but he is as good as you remember, and maybe even a little bit better during this time period.
He's great. He's not even just like, he's great. Like,
yeah,
I think 2013 Del Rio is like one of the best years they have of a guy. Like, he's been excellent all throughout the year, and it's still more to come. Like, he's got some really good stuff ahead. I hate to laud him too much. He's such a piece of garbage, but it's like during this stretch here, he's one of the best guys in the company. Between the festive music and the matches he's putting on, it's one of the highlights of the shows for sure.
Yeah, sometimes bad people are really good at things, and that's Del Rio during the stretch. My only little note from this match is I kind of wish they went full Fonzie with Ricardo at ringside.
He should have held the chair up.
Less of a breakup with like Del Rio and more of like a collective buy-in on RVD. Would have loved to have seen that. I know he's got like the airbrush T-shirt, but he still feels like he's trying to get over his ex. Would have loved to see him go full Fonzie. Next up, in non-title action, it is Fallout from SummerSlam, as we have The Miz defeating Fandango. I was a 2.5. I think not being a title match really hurt this, as we're in like kind of the theme pay-per-view era a little bit. But yeah, not having any stakes on this match, just being a grudge match and having some fallout from the previous pay-per-view. This could have been handled on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I know you want to get both guys on the card. Especially Fandango, who they've dropped the ball with a little bit. But they turn out to have a totally fine match.
It's cromulent, 2.5. I mean, not much cooking here. I think that's the story a lot of this year. Like, I feel like coming out of Mania, they had some guys, handful of guys are hot. We talked about the Shield cooling off a little bit. Dolph, tumbling down the mountain. Fandango tumbling down the mountain. Like, some of these guys that were pretty hot coming out of Mania have really been displaced as the year has gone on. Even Sheamus, he was pretty hot. Like, he hasn't done anything. So we've definitely seen a handful of workers that have really kind of flamed out as the year's gone on. All right, Curtis Axel's back. This is the night of the Curtis Axel. He teams with Paul Heyman to take on CM Punk as the Heyman versus Punk angle continues. It's a no DQ match. It's fine. I mean, whatever. It's fine. Like, Punk basically has them beat, right? And then we get the big turn, and Heyman looks like he's about to get his ass whipped. But of course, things change as Ryback comes out. He puts Punk through a table and drags Heyman on top of him, just as Punk was starting to batter Heyman. So just when you think maybe Punk's putting this one behind him, we get a new addition to the team as Ryback comes out. Looks like he'll be another Paul Heyman guy, and kicks off their feud. So I like this. Like, I went 3.5. I actually thought Punk, he just has a baseline for me, and this is one of it. So this is a really good match. I think the finish is fine. Again, I think the Punk Heyman stuff will drag on too long. This feels like maybe it could have ended here and be fine, but I'm also okay with using Ryback, who I've liked through most of the season. And I feel like he got a little bit lost. Like we said, he was dumping the chili at SummerSlam, not doing much else. So I think this is a pretty good spot for him. If you're going to kill a little bit more time with Punk, there's worse things you can do than Ryback with Heyman managing him.
Yeah, I went 3. The match started to overstay its welcome just a little bit, and I'm probably not being generous enough to Punk for him being able to carry this match to being more than passable. But for me, it was just kind of glaring, especially watching the show in full. Really felt like Axel had no business having a second match and going as long as he did in this match.
They love Axel.
Very, very tough to do.
Stretch in this night.
Yeah, it's asking too much of him. It's not setting him up for success.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit too much too soon. And again, it doesn't help that he's not his dad. If anything, he's more like his granddad.
Right.
He's a lot more of the axe than Mr. Perfect. And they try to treat him as if he's Mr. Perfect. So, but I went to 3. Still really good for being a handicap match with a non-wrestler and a guy having his second match of the night.
Plus a promo, plus 2 matches.
Yeah.
It's enough Axel.
We get back to title action as we have the United States title on the line as Dean Ambrose retains against the Zigzag Man, Dolph Ziggler. I went to 3.5. I think these guys could have given you even more. And I think we'll see that when we eventually get to the 2016-17 season. I believe they have a match at SummerSlam. But for here, I went 3.5. I like the chemistry that these guys have. I know they both have the amateur wrestling background. I know Ambrose doesn't really incorporate that into his character work in WWE much. But you can still tell that the chemistry these guys have. They're not afraid to mix it up, make it look real, struggle, make the transitions look good. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this 3.5 for me.
Yeah, 3. So kind of inverse of the last match for us. This was fine. I might have let some of my Dolph anger sleep into this. Like he's slinking down the car. Then you think, okay, maybe he lands here. Maybe he upsets Dean and wins the title, and this is his prize, right? But no, he loses here, continues his slide. Ambrose has been interesting for me. Like, I think he's actually been a little disappointing. He was great in the Shield 6-man matches, but as soon as they split him off, and I know he hasn't had like the best of opponents at times, but he really hasn't had any great. I mean, for you, this is 3.5, so it's a really good match. But for me, like, he hasn't really popped off the page as a singles worker in any kind of way yet. Obviously, he'll get there, but I think his initial U.S. title reign has been mid at best to me. So, all right, let's get to our next match here, 7th on the card, and that is the Primetime Players cashing in on that title match that they earned earlier in the night against Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. I thought it was fine. I just went 2.25, honestly. Like, it's 7 minutes. It felt like just a standard tag match. I like the Primetime Players. Like, tell you, like, they're fun. There was zero chance they were beating the Shield on this night. So, like, that took a lot of the steam out for me, too. Like, you just know they're not winning this match. I think I just would have went with the Usos here to really add something to the show, add something to the card, because they have a little bit of chemistry with the Shield back from that Money in the Bank pre-show match. So I do think you could have probably got a little bit more out of this. Again, I like the Primetime Players. To me, they're Raw tag contenders at this point, not pay-per-view tag contenders. So this felt very much a lock on paper.
Yeah, I guess I was maybe just happy to see the Shield on pay-per-view. But I also got a lot of entertainment, as evident with my 3.25 here, not just from Hot Tag Titus, but seeing, especially guessing who agented this match. It felt like Arn Anderson's fingerprints were all over this match. And just the thought of like Tyler Black and Roman Reigns running brainbuster spots to get like a pretty good tag match out of the Primetime Players, who are in their second match of the evening as well, having gone through that tag team turmoil. I thought it was just like a cool nugget. So I ended up liking this a good bit. It ticked up pretty high for me with the 3.25. But yeah, always happy to see the Shield in full on a show. That takes us to our main event of the evening. It is for the WWE title, and we have an apparent winner as Daniel Bryan defeats Randy Orton to win back the WWE Championship. I went to 4. These two also have really good chemistry, and this is like a match that I would point to. I know a lot gets said about WWE, the house style, and especially with AEW now in the picture, you kind of fantasize about like, all right, what if this guy left WWE, went to AEW, and we know that, for guys like Bryan and Ambrose, that's been a positive, and you kind of fancy book like, okay, what would it look like if Randy Orton went? And to me, like, Randy Orton has always been more pro wrestler, less sports entertainer, even though he's been in the WWE system exclusively. This match, I feel like you can just really see that come to light. They have a really good pro wrestling match here, with a little bit of the sports entertainment stuff involved there, but Yeah, I like anytime these guys mix it up. So 4 for me.
Yeah, 4 for me too. Like you said, really good chemistry. Cool moment, honestly. I forgot that Brian won here, and I kind of forgot where things went from this. So it kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I thought it was another screw job incoming, and there would be the next night, right? We get the whole abeyance stuff that we'll cover next show. But for this night, anyway, Brian leaves as WWE champion. And I think it's a little behind the SummerSlam match with him and Cena, but it's still really damn good. Orton's locked in. We talked about 2013 Del Rio. 2013 Orton's like really good too. And I think he's like some collateral damage historically when you kind of think of how the end of the year goes and where they go with him and then what things are supposed to be going to Mania. But he's on a heater from like Mania 29 through post WrestleMania 30. Like he's got some really good stuff cooking, even into 2015, honestly, like when we get to that Mania. So he has a really good stretch coming, a really good run of in-ring work. So good stuff here. And that caps off this show with a feel-good moment of Daniel Bryan winning the WWE title. So when you net out all of our scores and you do the plus minus from the 2.5 replacement level score, that gives us a total in-ring grade of 4.5. So pretty strong, like good in-ring show. Not great, not all time, but not bad. Like this is like a solid in-ring show.
Healthy start.
All right, let's get to our build. See how they got to this show. We give a point for Kofi Kingston beating Curtis Axel in non-title matches on TV multiple times, so that lined him up for the title shot. A point for AJ Lee crapping on the Divas on Raw. So we talked about like this is where she kind of goes in on wrestlers versus Divas and sets her up as the main heel in the locker room. A point for Miz and Fandango starting at SummerSlam with interruptions that spilled into a dance competition on SmackDown with a roster involved, and that led to the match here. A point for Punk stalking Heyman for revenge, guaranteeing he'll take him out. A point for Dolph battling with the Shield on TV to get this U.S. title match. And then a point for Orton becoming the face of WWE. So this is really a storyline that got to this point. Triple H is pushing him to prove himself, show why we chose you to be the face of WWE and what's best for business. And Brian keeps chasing and pushing through the turmoil of Triple H. So it's not all hunky-dory with Orton. Like he's the handpicked guy, but they're really challenging him to freaking prove why they picked him and not just, relax and just, win on with their help, right? Like show why you're the guy.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the cons of event build. First, we have Ricardo Rodriguez aligning with RVD. It's really random and aimless. Axel looks like a goof. His own manager has zero faith that he can protect him. We get the primetime players earning the title shot in the pre-show with no build. We get Triple H and Stephanie spending a month telling us why Brian sucks and obsessing over the corporate side of the business. And then we also get crying Big Show here.
Oh my God, there's so much bad here. Like we talked about this in the 15-16 season, how much we hated the like obsessive corporate speak. And it really starts here. Like it kind of leaked in before, but this is really where it starts with the what's best for business and the face of the company and, the corporate champion. Like, 99, 98, it's funny with The Rock, but that's like a parody of the corporate champion, right? It's like kind of played for laughs, but this is like really like worried about our verticals and our shareholders and like all, like it's just like way too much. Crying Big Show is freaking awful where they're firing him. He's crying and then he helps the authority. Then he turns on the authority and he's crying as he's doing it. Like, and it gets worse with him. And then also I wanted to call it that Axel thing because he's all over the show, but like the crux of most of the show is Heyman is worried that Punk's going to kick his ass and kick the shit out of him. So he's got like no faith that Curtis Axel can actually win this match and carry him. Like it kind of makes him, it's like Red Rooster vibes with Bobby. It's like he doesn't actually think he's that good. He's just been carrying him to this IC title run. And he's like, yeah, all right, I'm sure you'll protect me. He has like zero faith that this guy will save him. So a lot of kind of sneaky bad shit following some of the thing. So that gives us a total war score for a build of 1. So that nets out. Let's go to our commentary. A point for the good jokes about slovenly Heyman. Like they're all over him. It will get annoying after a while, especially Paulus, which King latches onto like puppies. Like once he said it once and he popped himself, he giggles through it every time he says it. The Paulus. King gets through a whole Divas match without any sexualization or creepy comments. And there's a lot of women out there. So good on him, I guess, for one night. Good job cutting out the stupid referee not counting when Brie was draped on Naomi. Nice job telling the style and story of Del Rio and RVD. They kind of get into the differences and, style clash that's in there and why things are going the way they're going. And a point for JBL saying Cole went to Syracuse Dance Academy with Mike Rotundo. It's pretty funny.
Let's get into the cons. As always, we have the talkie baseball afternoon style call of the show. Very rare bits of authentic excitement throughout the night. Too much fake laughing and cackling by Cole as Punk tortures Heyman.
It's the one you just picture Vince yelling at his head. Oh, laugh. Ha, ha, ha.
Laugh,
Hilarious.
yeah.
Look at him. It's just like awful.
Yeah. All right. So much talk about Triple H, COO, best for business. -2 there. It's crippling all night. JBL vanishing act. I know on Raw it used to be cranky JBL would show up around 10 o'clock, and on these pay-per-views he just goes nonverbal for points of the time. And then King says that Kofi wasn't expected to wrestle, while Kofi comes out all oiled and geared up, just not consistent. And again, with him picking up the victories on TV, it feels like a very natural.
It feels like there's a real disconnect with commentary not being told maybe the proper story or whatever. Yeah, JBL's odd and way too much best or business stuff. All right, so that gives us a score of -1 for commentary, right in the wheelhouse.
Small miracle.
Way to land there. All right, atmosphere. A point for the cool champions based opening video, kind of a quick trip through history. A point for the crowd being the Kofi as a surprise challenger. They get pretty excited when he comes out. I think they thought maybe this is finally it for Axel. Point for the nice pop for RVD, and kind of his, I guess, kind of his hometown, right? I mean, it's not Philly where he became a star, but Battle Creek, Michigan, like he's always obviously built from there and whatnot. Point for the festive Del Rio entrance, bop. We will give a point for this forever. It's so good. Crowd for point for the crowd being all in on that match, RVD and ADR. This is kind of fun atmosphere. Point for the crowd digging the Fandango. So kind of back. It's been fading a bit, but kind of back here. Point for the big pop for Punk. Point for the big pop and engagement for Brian. And a point for the crowd being revved for the Brian Orton match, or into that whole thing. Anything Brian does.
Oh. For our cons, we got the crowd not into the Divas match. We get the crowd wrestlers a little bit during Mr. Fandango. We get the lame Goldberg chants for the Ryback. And then Reigns and Rollins just stay in the ring after Ambrose match. No entrance. It's efficient, but a little bit lame for such a big act. And then not listed, of course, is we have no real air of danger of the titles being at risk at all. Kind of like SummerSlam. I guess they were saving the one big change for the end of the night, but they're kind of just lulling the crowd to sleep all night. These titles never really feel like they're in danger of changing hands.
I hate the Goldberg chance for Ryback. He's been good this season. Like, I think it's so lame and reductive. Like, it's not like Goldberg's coming in to fight him, or he's on the if he was on the roster and they're trying to set up a match, that's one thing, but it's just like lazy. Like, whatever. He's been pretty good this season. Like, I don't think it's worth like shitting on him. All right, so points total for atmosphere is 4, so not bad. Notable moments, we gave a point for RVD's first world title match in 7 years, a point for Ryback joining Paul Heyman, becoming another Paul Heyman guy, and a point for Brian winning the title. So just not a lot in the moments category here. Again, kind of a forgettable show in a way, like a couple good matches, but as far as if you're looking for shit to happen, this isn't your show.
Let's get into the cons. And this is where the show kind of turns into Taboo Tuesday a little bit. Booker wins the online poll for greatest world champion over Flair. We get DX winning the greatest tag team champion poll. That's a farce. Fandango has been tossed aside since his big WrestleMania win. And then Ziggler, the hard slide continues, unfortunately, picking up another loss here.
Yeah, those polls were kind of a joke. Like, I mean, whatever. They're not meant to be taken seriously, but it's like, all right. I mean, don't have Flair on the options if you're gonna Booker. I mean, come on. Like, Booker T is a better world champion than Ric Flair. All right, that's a 0, I believe. Right, we got a wash for moments, so not much cooking there. Let's head over to card structure, which is always a big road bump for some of these shows. Kofi and Curtis Axel get a lot of time and bring the crowd into it. So good for them focusing on the IC. Big win for Axel, clean over Kofi. So point for that. Point for the greatest champion polls. Like, the polls are a cool touch. Like, it adds a lot to the vibe of the night of champions. So the results are goofy. And then a point for Dolph soft landing in the upper mid card. So look, we're detracting because he's sliding, but at least they're putting him in these mid-card titles. A win would have been nice. And you say, okay, well, he slipped a little bit, but he beat Ambrose and now he's the US champion, like something like that. So at least we're not fully where we're going to get with him, but it's a slide. But at least like here, he's getting like a decent spot.
Yeah, he's so good in ring. You would think they would at least give him a title, Intercontinental US title, and let him go out there and tear it up for 12 or 15 minutes. But not the case. Let's get into the minuses of card structure. We have starting with Endless Triple H, Sloppy Heyman, and Axel promo. -2 there. That was really bad. Really overstayed its welcome. And also like just counter effective too. Triple H comes out and establishes like this heel side, and then he wants to get his coolness back on Heyman, just all over the place. We get the Intercontinental title being an afterthought on Night of Champions, chucked together at the last second.
Right. Like it's cool. Like it's cool they gave him the time and they had the match. But I think one way they could have done it is just have the match scheduled, but maybe it's set for later. And Triple H says, "Fuck it, we're doing it now. Like get out here, Kofi." Like then at least like it makes sense, right? Kofi's beaten him twice. It's not as champions. Of course they're gonna have the match. Just have Triple H like throw a curveball and make him do it there.
Right. Show that you're ready for anything. Defend the title now. We get the World Heavyweight title match shoved third from the bottom. It continues to be on earlier than it needs to be or should be. We get the lame DQ finish for Del Rio and RVD right when it was really starting to cook towards the finish. We get too much Axel on the show. We talked about it earlier. In-ring promo, backstage promo, 2 matches, angle afterwards. It's just a lot. And he's not deep enough. He doesn't have a deep enough bag to kind of pull off this true like TV star role that he's being given. It's way too much. We get the Monday Night Raw style open, too long and deflating. Now, I think sometimes it can be a positive to the show, like with Survivor Series and Deadly Game. Like it can be something cool to kind of break up the usual flow.
Well, if it's going to set up like a night-long story or kick off something like that, like, but this was not necessary.
We get the camera shot of the city and recap of Ryback attacking Punk again, just added to the Raw format. It kind of beats of the show a little bit, and then no title changes until the end of the night, but then that gets reversed as the title goes into abeyance. Adds to the Raw feel of the show. Yep.
It's Night of Champions. We should have some stuff going on. It's a lot, and the Axel stuff is just too much, and especially when you think of Triple H's reputation of doing those opening promos on shows and like what that meant, like way back in the day, and so it feels like, all right, we're really leaning back into this again. So for card structure, that gives us a total score of -5. So really kind of fell into that trap, and also like we've talked about people getting left off while hot. No Wyatt's on the show after the big win at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be seen. Like nothing. At least do like a creepy promo or something, like not even on the card. So again, we continue this little flow of like randomness of who shows up when. All right, rewatchability. Point for Natalia's double sharpshooter. That looked really cool. Locked it on the 2 of them. A point for a classic RVD offense. Just always hits. Just all of it. Everything he flows through. A point for a nasty Van Daminator. A point for Heyman just being amazing while getting murdered by Punk, crying, screaming, praying, begging, anything he can to escape. A point for Bryan pinning Orton clean, and a point for Shield doing a Brainbusters tribute match with the primetime players. Like you said, it felt like Arn booked that thing with his eyes closed, so like just a classic Brainbuster style.
Yeah. Let's head over to the cons for rewatchability. We got all the COO Triple H blowjobs throughout the evening, especially that long segment to start. Confusing finish where it seemed like Axel tapped, but then Heyman wins the match. And the Raw talky bit open. And on top of it, that it wasn't good. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, the finish was weird. It did seem like it was over. That's why it's confusing when Ryback helps Heyman win because I thought the match was done. But and so much blowing of Triple H. All right, so rewatchability score 3. No all-time matches either way, so that's a zip. And that gives us a final war score of 6.5, which ties it with 2 shows, but it has the tiebreaker of the best match with Brian Orton over King of the Ring 1994. Just kind of slightly edged that out as far as best match. And then also tied with Extreme Rules 2013. It was tied with, so something earlier this season. And then right behind Extreme Rules 18, which had a 7 WAR score. So pretty bottom of the barrel here. We've done 134 shows now, so this is right toward the end. It's just nothing happens. Especially when you look at what happens the next night. The main event doesn't even mean anything. So you could miss this show, and unless you're into Ryback joining Heyman, like nothing else happens. Like nothing. Like this is the epitome of when you would think of like excess, unnecessary monthly pay-per-views. This is one of them. Like, why did this show need to exist in any realm? Nothing happens. You could have done all this on TV. There's not even great. Like, you can even say, like, oh, well, at least we saw a classic match. Like, nothing. There's nothing. You're paying to go see Curtis Axel for, a third of the show. So there's just not a lot going on. So,
yeah. And again, like the only real big match you get is Bryan and Orton, and they haven't been afraid to throw that on Raw a ton. So it's not.
We're gonna get it again, and again, it's nullified anyway. So, all right, so that'll do it. Let's talk our top 10. 10th best show of all time. We have SummerSlam 1992 at 38.25.
Number 9, the SummerSlam 2001 with a 39.
Number 8, SummerSlam 2015, 39.25.
And number 7 is WrestleMania 7 with a 39.5.
Number 6, Vengeance 2005 with a score of 41.
Top 5, number 5, the SummerSlam 1990 with a 42.
2 Hearts Beating is 1. Number 4, Royal Rumble 2002 with a score of 44.
Number 3 is SummerSlam 2005 with a 46.5.
Number 2, WrestleMania 22 with a 56.5.
And number 1, our outlier so far of the project, is ECW One Night Stand from 2005 with a plus 79.
Pretty crazy. All right, there's our top 10. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Battleground 2013. We'll see if this is another middling show. There's a lot of shows crammed into the fall here. That's the thing, too. I think we got 3 in 2 months, which is like, this is too many. Like, we didn't need one of these. Like, Night of Champions or Battleground probably could go. And then we'll talk about the one else to come in the fall. So we'll see how things matriculate from here. Thank you for joining us. Leave some comments, leave some likes, love, share us around. Our YouTube channel's been exploding and subscribers, so we really appreciate that. And hopefully you're enjoying the content in NoSo 95, paying tribute to the year that was 95 in pop culture, sports, and wrestling. We've had a lot of cool content there. Plus, check us out. We have a lot of previews and post shows for all the major WWE PLEs and TV events. So lots to check out there. And I will tell you to check out the Final Wrestling Place Patreon. All of the info and content from my buddy Marcus and our producer, Not the Toolman, Tim Taylor. Subscribe there. You get some daily opportunities from my man. You get Final Wrestling Place plus some other cool content. So be sure to sub and give them the love. I want to thank you for joining us. Continue to live your life above replacement level. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks from the Battleground.